Good afternoon. So today I thought I'd bring you guys along with me to basically start writing my next book. A little bit of context for this: I've just finished the first in the series and this is the sequel. At the moment I'm thinking it will just be a duology, but we'll see how this one pans out. I have planned this a little bit over the last week, but not a lot. So basically what I'm going to be doing today is starting to write and also continuing to plan. Now, for my fellow planners out there, I know you're probably turning in your graves right now, but basically I have the first half outlined and then pretty much like the last third outlined. There's only a little bit in the middle that I need to sort out, so basically if I start writing today, it's not going to be a problem because I'm not going to be getting to 30k words in one sitting. If you guys are interested in this world that I'm writing, it's a sapphic fantasy rivals to lovers. There's quite a lot of info about it on my Instagram if you want to go check that out, since I just finished writing the first book, so there's a whole load of reels, posts, etc. over there. So I will get into it shortly, but first of all I'd just like to explain how I personally plan out my books. Now, I am a planner, which means I need outlines, character profiles, world building. I need absolutely everything before I can begin to think about it. Now, effectively, and sorry, I'm just looking at my document to remember how I do this real quick. What I do is I have approximately 5 or 6 sections, and it is split into this. First one is ideas, and this is just, you know, when you're getting the very initial ideas for a book, and it's like maybe just a scene or a character or even like a lyric from a song and you just need to write it down somewhere. That's effectively what this section is for. Now, because this is the second book, my ideas section for this is pretty empty. I'll put a screenshot of what it has right now. But the first one had an awful lot. It had a lot of ideas for the name, it had a lot of quotes, and it had a lot of sort of snippets that I wanted to include in the book somewhere. Now my second section is plot, which is obviously very important. I start off with writing out basic plot points, maybe just in bullet points. Then I'll expand this a little bit, we'll write it out, maybe that's a page or two, and then I'll put it into a chart, which is effectively a table, and the columns are the chapter, description of what happens. Sometimes I'll do a column for subplot, which might be if there's a couple different romances going on. In this case, I don't really need it because it's all kind of involved in the main description. And then in this case, I have a column for whose POV it is because I have 2. If I've got a lot of different settings, I'll have a where it's taking place. Sometimes I need to keep count of what day it's on, so I'll have a column for what day it is. And then finally, I have a little word count column, which is for after the initial draft, I'll write what the end word count is for that chapter. I don't know why I do this, to be honest. I just like to keep count and see if all my chapters are roughly the same, because sometimes the book can feel a little bit off if some of the chapters are really, really short and some are really long. Then my next section is characters. Again, on this one, I've just copied and pasted a lot from my initial planning document for the first book because it's a lot of similar characters, and then obviously added in the new characters that we're getting in this book. This I have done multiple different ways. In this one, I've just done the name of the character and then all of the bullet points about absolutely everything about them. We've got, let me find it. We've got what they look like, their height, stuff like that. Then we've got their personality. Sometimes I like to put what Hogwarts house they'd be in. It just kind of helps me keep track. We've got their age, we've got their relations to other characters, we've got how their personality develops over the book, etc, etc. Next up, we have history/world building. I've actually put it as 2 separate things for this one because the history is quite a bit more prominent and quite a bit more important in this book, so it's got its own section. But history/world building, obviously this is a fantasy book, so it requires an awful lot. This section tends to be quite big in all of the books that I write, but also it differs for each book that I write, so I can't really give you guys a template. In this one, I have the different realms, I have the different species and what their magic powers are. I have what the city looks like. However, in my first novel, which is actually published, and you guys can go check it out if you'd like, it was all set in this one little town, and it was all very much more what the individual buildings look like, how long it would take them to walk from place to place, etc. So it really does vary depending on the book. And then at the end, I have notes. Now, this can contain an awful lot of different things. For example, in the first book of this series, my notes contained an awful lot of plot holes and how I can fix those plot holes, which I'm still working on as we speak. However, in this one, because I haven't actually started writing yet, all the notes contain is little snippets of scenes that I've already written or things that are in my mind where it's like an awful lot of speech that I need to include somewhere. And you're probably wondering, how on earth does that differ from the ideas bit? The ideas bit is kind of before I start writing, which then gets kind of neglected after I start. But then notes is things that I know, it's like more prominent things, more important things that I'm definitely including, or, you know, I need to go back to the main document and fix things like that. So yeah, in summary, that is how I plan all my books, and then pretty much when I'm done, I start writing. I know I said I haven't completely finished with the plot, but that's just because of that little bit in the middle that I need to play around with. So yeah, basically when that's done, I hop straight into the document, and that's where I'm starting now. So this document is currently on about 800 words. That's because I technically haven't started writing yet. I set the NaNoWriMo goal, however you say it, as starting today, and I gave myself quite a lot of time. So basically I haven't technically started writing yet. I just started the first chapter the other day and started a little bit of how I thought I might want to begin the book. So I am pretty much starting from nothing, and that's what I'm going to hop into right now and start writing and let you guys know how it goes. So I sat and wrote for about 20-25 minutes, I think, possibly half an hour, and I'm now at around 1.3k, so I wrote around 500 words, which is pretty good considering I still need to finish the plan. So I added in a little bit of a prologue and then continued on chapter 1, and to be honest, that's probably all I'm going to write for today. I set myself a pretty long time period for the NaNoWriMo goal. I think it was till like July or something. I'm not in a rush to finish the first draft right now, and I think for the rest of the afternoon I'm just going to focus on planning and filling out my little chapters chart properly. Also, I was thinking, and I'm really curious, can you guys let me know, do you write in chronological order or not? Because I have always been a firm believer in do not write in chronological order if you're stuck. So basically I'll start writing the book and it normally gets to like chapter 3 or 4, and then I can't stop thinking about something later on that happens and I need to write it down, so I just write it and get it on the page, which yes means I'm not writing in chronological order, and in the end my book has a bit of a lack of flow after the first draft, but obviously it's just a first draft, so that's why I do it. But let me know if you guys do or do not, because to be honest I don't think I've ever met or known that many people who do, and I feel like I'm the only one at this point. But this is your reminder that it's okay to do that, because it's just a first draft, and after that you're gonna go back and edit it anyway. Okay, so a bit of an update. Apologies for it getting dark. It's been quite a while since I last recorded. Basically, I've now finished completely planning out the plot for this novel. I'll put it on screen now. Basically, I've filled out all of the columns, all the rows in my little table. Obviously, this does tend to change sometimes, so it probably won't end up being the final plot. However, in general, I can now just start writing. But I am really curious to know how you guys write and how you guys plot and plan your novels and stuff, so please let me know in the comments if you'd like to. Personally, I know my style of writing and plotting has changed a lot over time. I used to not outline quite as much. I've always outlined, I've always made a plan of the general direction of the story, but one of the first novels that I wrote, it was very much like one bullet point per chapter or scene, etc., and that was the entire plan. I'd also like to note that I tend to follow the 3-act structure. I'll put a photo of that on screen now. I think it's easier to see it as a visual instead of me trying to explain it, but I didn't always used to. I think I very much followed that sort of basic, you know, when you're in primary school and they give you that like mountain of how the story's meant to go, so it's got like the climax in the middle, and yeah, I think I used to kind of follow that. But I think now I'm gonna go and keep on writing. This is very much the sweet spot of writing a book, I think, where, you know, you've just gotten started and it's very exciting and you just want to get all your ideas out on the page before you suddenly hit writer's block and never write it ever again. But I hope that doesn't happen with this one. I'm really looking forward to writing it, and yeah, I'm gonna go do that now.